My enigmatic roommate. Growing up, I had always been a shy guy. I was the one who would rather bury his nose in a book than play sports. I was always the one who relished doing science experiments. Non-ironically, I was nerdy but friendly when approached. I never made the first move, though, so that fateful night, my own actions took me aback. I was on the ground floor waiting for the elevator when my new roommate, Jasper Vance, approached. I saw him from my peripheral vision, and try as I may to ignore his presence. The apartment complex's lobby was much too cramped for me to actually avoid him. I don't know what possessed me, but I waved awkwardly, and in turn, Jasper muttered a breathy, "Hey." It was not so much muttered as it was grunted. I was used to it, though, ever since he moved in a little over a week ago. Jasper had been distant. I had my fair share of roommates, but he was by far the coldest and least easy to get along with. Probably because he did not talk so much. Not to mention, his appearance was somewhat intimidating as well. He was brawny and quite heavily tattooed, making him unapproachable. This night, however, I suppose he felt a lot less grumpy than usual because he actually bothered to make small talk on the way to the apartment. "So you work at the pharmaceutical company down the street?" he asked as I fumbled through my bag for the keys. I simply nodded, attempting to focus on the task at hand. It seemed like my hands would not cooperate with me, as they decided that now would be the time to get all sweaty and clumsy. I finally got the keys after a while, during which Jasper had already stopped talking and was staring right at me, which made me even more nervous. To say that I struggled with the keys would be an understatement. On usual days, I was already relatively flimsy, but today was a particularly rough day, so I was even more careless than usual. And I guess he was not having it. "Is this your usual level of lameness?" he asked mockingly. "I mean, just warn me, will you? I don't typically have this much patience." I lost it. I usually did not mind snarky remarks like that. And boy, did Jasper make a lot of side comments that were borderline rude. But I was not having it today either. "Do you mind, maybe, instead of running your mouth, you can actually help? How typical, standing around there while I'm left fumbling. Just like how you've been doing with house chores." I must have hit a nerve because Jasper did not retort after that. I took my time with the keys this time around, not wanting to fumble once more. He looked away while I finally unlocked the door, possibly to keep himself from voicing out any more rude comments. To my surprise, he uttered another word as we entered the apartment. "I'm sorry," he said softly, as though he was embarrassed about his earlier behavior. I know it's typical of me to make side comments, but I don't usually attack people like that. I just had a rough day, and that's a bad excuse. I'm aware, but forgive me, Liam. That was probably the first time I ever heard him address me by my first name. "It's all good. I also had a rough day. You need any help?" He looked at me astounded before he cracked a smile. "I was a total jackass to you, and you're still extending me help?" he said, unbelieving. "You're too kind, and I don't deserve you. But I'm all good, Liam, thanks. I just got dumped by my girlfriend. No biggie." I smiled sympathetically as I patted him gently on the back. I did not know what propelled me to touch him, but it felt right at that moment. He tensed up at first but relaxed shortly after and flashed me a grin. "I don't know if this will comfort you, but I also just got dumped, so we're kind of in the same boat here," I admitted. "No way," Jasper exclaimed. "They're really stupid if they dumped you. Anyone would be lucky to have you." I was probably blushing profusely, but I tried to hide my giddiness as I heard these words from Jasper. "Stop it, you're just making up for the mean things you said earlier on." We laughed and continued our conversation in the living room. Coincidentally, both of us brought home some takeouts, so we had a nice heartfelt exchange over some dinner. He told me that his girlfriend of almost 5 months, Olivia, suddenly dumped him today. Although she was not the kindest person to Jasper, he said that she endured his mood swings and closed-off personality, and for that, he would miss her dearly. On the other hand, I told him about my now ex-boyfriend, Owen Parker, who is my dearest friend above all. Owen is openly bi, so this was a long time coming. I confessed to Jasper. He's been seeking a more conventional relationship with a woman, and I suppose I'll let him be happy. "I'm sorry to hear that, Liam. Don't ever think for a moment that you're not enough," he comforted me. I'm sure he is beyond grateful to love and be loved by you. It's just that he wants to be more himself." I flashed him a cheesy grin. "You're really sweet when you want to be. Do you know that?" I questioned him, shocked. He blushed at my words and looked down at his food. I found this habit of his cute. He seemed to have a scary demeanor. And he came off rude at times. But he really was not. He was just an extremely quiet guy and misunderstood. Coupled with his daunting tattoos, I was not surprised that he was often judged, given that I myself judged him too soon. 2. Before I could forget, I asked him a question that had been lurking at the back of my mind since I moved in. "Wait, since I told you about Owen, you now know I'm gay. And that's not a problem with you?" I inquired. Jasper shook his head vigorously. "It will never be a problem with me. You can be who you want to be. I'm in no position to make any judgment or comments about that." With that, we spent the entire night just talking about our lives. Jasper asked quite a few questions about my lifestyle, and I was beyond happy to be myself around him, no longer feeling afraid that I would be discriminated against because I was gay. I learned that besides his regular job as an engineer, he also sang, which surprised me immensely. I told him about my job as a chemist and my passion for painting, baking, and sewing. Despite our contrasting backgrounds and interests, I was surprised by how easily we bonded. From that night onwards, we were inseparable. Although we went our separate ways in the morning, we found comfort and solace in one another at night. We had the best talks during dinner time, and it amazed me how wide-ranging our topics of conversation were. We could talk about anything from our latest manga read to deeper and more sensitive topics such as our families. We made dinner a ritual and alternated providing food. On days that it was my turn to provide dinner, I would make a nice home-cooked meal. Jasper always commended how good my cooking smelled and how it tasted even better. One night, he took me aback when he crept up on me as I was making dinner. He wrapped his tattooed arms around my tiny waist and shouted, "Boo," to which I jumped, and my heart stopped momentarily. "Don't do that," I warned. "It smells so good." I heard him groan, and I could have sworn he was not only referring to the dish that I was cooking because he was also sniffing me. We made this our new routine, cooking dinner together or ordering it on nights that we felt exhausted. Eating our meal over a nice dialogue, watching television together or reading, and more recently, cuddling up with one another. I found myself swiftly relishing Jasper's company and would find comfort in his arms. "Don't be nervous. Scoot closer," he whispered with a little hesitation. I would cuddle up next to him and soon would be wrapped in his muscular and tattooed arm. I would then snuggle up against his neck, taking in his manly scent. Sometimes he would even stroke my hair until I fell asleep. This happened a few days ago, and he had to gently wake me up by stroking my arm as he desperately needed to go to the toilet. "Hate to wake you up, L, but I've been holding this in for like an hour." He laughed. I blushed furiously and made room for him to get up and pee. But as soon as he came back, he offered his arms again, and I snuggled back towards him. Not only was he providing me with physical comfort, but we also became each other's support system through our post-breakup struggles. A few weeks later, we were talking about how we were coping with being single, and he opened up to me, so I did to him too. "I'm okay now. I would say I'm content. And I cannot be happier that after my breakup with Olivia, I found friendship in you," Jasper admitted. I smiled at the thought and covered his hand with mine. I gave it a tight squeeze while smiling at him and said, "Same for me. Owen and I are friends again. Anyway, he's a wonderful friend, after all, just not meant to be as a boyfriend, I guess." I could have sworn that a wave of jealousy flashed through his face. But Jasper, being Jasper, swiftly recovered and put up an emotionless face as usual. On days that were rougher, I was there to hold Jasper's hand. He did not look like it, and I know he said he was okay, but I knew better. It was evident that he had flashbacks of his relationship with Olivia every now and then. And it showed. His eyes would be bloodshot red, and he would look even paler than usual, making his tattoos stand out even more. But I was there for him through those rough nights. I would lend him my shoulder literally and figuratively. He would lean against me as he let out those bottled-up feelings. I would make soup for him when he felt too sick to consume anything else. "What did I ever do to deserve someone like you?" Jasper said one night after I gave him advice. He took my hand in his strong ones. And I was certain I turned beet red instantaneously. If only Olivia treated me this way. You deserve the best, Jasper. Nothing less. With that, I looked up and met his gaze. Surprisingly, his face was extremely adjacent to mine. He was so close that I could feel the warmth of his breath across my face. Without hesitation, I leaned in and did what I have been holding back for the past couple of weeks. Gently, I kissed him, and he was hesitant at first. But he kissed me back. It was nothing short of magical. And his lips were just as I had imagined. Soft, supple, and heavenly. We both pulled back after. And I thought this was the start of a budding romance. But I could not be more wrong. If anything, that kiss made us distant. And it seemed like it did quite the opposite of what I had hoped. A few days after that fateful night, we broke our routine, and it seemed like we were back to the days when we were merely strangers. And I thought of Jasper as a mean, intimidating roommate. I was melancholic, and since my ex-boyfriend Owen and I worked in the same laboratory, he must have noticed this and invited me for coffee one afternoon. I've never seen you this upset, Liam, he commented as he stirred some creamer into my coffee and handed me a pastry. Look, we may have broken up, but you're still my dear friend. So spill the beans, honey. I sighed and told him about the development in my dynamic with Jasper and how it came crashing down once more after the night we kissed. From what I know, he's straight, so maybe he's in denial about these feelings that are surfacing. I told Owen. Owen nodded in affirmation. So he has been ignoring you? He asked. I also nodded. Look, he even started hanging out with his ex-girlfriend again. I think they're back together, I stated, dejected. I then showed him Jasper's latest Instagram story, which shattered my heart. It was him and Olivia cuddled up just a few days ago. It was as who were in each other's arms. And now he was back in the arms of that very woman who broke his heart. Why did he so easily run back to her? Was I really that disposable? Were all of our dinner conversations, cuddle nights, and bonding moments not enough? No way, Owen exclaimed. That's his girlfriend? Yup. And it seemed like they're back together. I commented as I clicked next on Jasper's Instagram stories and saw that he had reposted Olivia's story. It read, "Home is where the heart is. We back." A wave of hurt ran through me. And it had been a while since I felt this much frustration and betrayal. Although Jasper and I were not officially together, I lived for the hope that one day we would be. So it sucked to see him with another person, much less the very girl who dumped him just a month ago. Look, Liam, I told you a week ago that I'm seeing someone, right? Inquired Owen. I nodded. Well, believe it or not, that skank is that very girl that I was seeing. And you know what? We're still together to this date. Owen revealed. I was flabbergasted, and I was positive that my mouth was wide open at the unexpected turn of events. No way. So she's playing the both of you? I stuttered. Owen nodded in affirmation. Honestly, she's a nice girl, and I've been having fun exploring my sexuality with her. But man, this is sick. She's toying with me and your roommate. Unbelievable, he huffed, evidently frustrated. I must tell Jasper at once. I affirmed. Owen agreed and said he would wait for my update before he dumped that evil Olivia. Later that night, I stayed up until well past midnight to wait for Jasper. By the time he got home, it was 1:30, and I had already fallen asleep on the couch multiple times. I greeted him only to get a grunt in return. We were truly back in our rude, unfeeling roommate and shy, awkward gay roommate era. Jasper, wait, there's something you need to know about Olivia. He was about to enter his room at this point but stopped dead in his tracks when he heard her name. What about her? Leave her out of this. He snapped. Look, she's playing you. You know my ex, Owen? He's been seeing her since before you two got back together. And although you seem to be spending every waking hour back with her, she's also still seeing Owen. Can't you see she's playing the both of you? I blurted out. With this, Jasper closed his eyes. Look, Liam, you're a good person and a kind friend. I've enjoyed the past few weeks with you. But that kiss, it never should have happened. Surely, I may have caught feelings for you. I mean, how could I not? You're a complete package, but I'm just not ready to be in a relationship with another guy. He said softly, but she's cheating on you. I'm protecting you. I cried. Jasper put up a hand to stop me. You're protecting yourself. You can't accept the fact that I chose her over you. And now you're fabricating stories so I can come crawling back to you. I've made peace with my decision, Liam. And I hope you can too. He then slammed the door of his room, leaving me crestfallen. But one thing about me was I never gave up on the people I loved, even when they seemed to have given up on me. The next day, I told Owen the turn of events from last night. He was unbelieving, but he agreed with me that perhaps Jasper was still in a state of denial. But we were not going to let Olivia off that easily. Owen had told me stories of how manipulative she could be, so I was not surprised that she seemed to have Jasper on a leash. We need to get your roommate to see me and Olivia together firsthand, Owen uttered. We're going out to dinner in town tonight. Could you get Jasper there? It was a challenge, but I left my shift early, knowing that Jasper would likely be heading home at around 5 p.m. If he was not hanging out with Olivia tonight, he would be clocking out at work then, as he always did, and so, I waited just outside the firm that he was working at. He seemed surprised to see me but approached me with caution. Liam, hey, he greeted, much calmer than he was last night. I'm sorry, we said at the same time. We laughed at the blunder and smiled. I took this as my chance to ask him out on a dinner. And he agreed, just like the old times. We held a conversation effortlessly, and I could not be happier that our bond did not disappear despite the rocky past few days. Just as planned, we walked past Mama Lou's, an Italian restaurant where Owen and Olivia would be dining al fresco. As planned, just as we were approaching, Olivia leaned in to plant a kiss on Owen's lips and reside them tongue-tied. He approached the table, fists clenched. Oh look, it's my girlfriend with another man. Chak Chan Roy, Teep Toop Cow Choyan Voy Ten Jasper, from onlookers. What is happening here? I don't know this man. Baby. Olivia tried to defend herself and pushed Owen off her at once. Some whispers were building up around us, clearly aghast by Olivia's dumb behavior. I should have listened to Liam when he warned me about you. I was much too blinded by your manipulation and constant guilt-tripping. Meanwhile, you're out here making a fool out of not just me, but also this guy who was also left in the dark. Jasper raged. Olivia stood up from her seat, clinging on to Jasper for dear life. She was begging him to listen to her contradicting explanation. But Jasper turned a blind ear. Get away from me and never contact me ever again, Jasper said sternly. Olivia started bawling, begging either man to take her back and apologizing profusely. But Owen was not having it either. And just as Jasper had done, he shook Olivia off him. Get away from me and all of my friends. You've done enough damage, you sick woman, Owen berated her. With that, the three of us left her. She was on the ground now, a weeping mess and utterly ashamed by the large crowd who was witnessing her downfall. I then suggested that the three of us went down in a nearby coffee shop where Owen and Jasper got properly acquainted. I'm so sorry, Liam, for not believing in you at first. Jasper apologized. I should have known better. I was running away from my feelings for you, and that meant I was deceiving myself into thinking I still love Olivia. But I don't, not anymore, not from the moment you and I clicked. It's been you, and I was too much of a coward to confront my feelings. But I'm done running away now. It's okay, I said softly, taking his hand in mine and feeling the warmth of his large hands again after weeks. I always knew you'd find your way back home. Are you guys sure that you're not married yet? You act like it, Owen commented, gushing at the sight of me and Jasper. Well, we're not married yet since I don't even know if I truly deserve Liam anyway. If we were going to get married, you'd be the best man, replied Jasper. Oh, honey, you better act on your feelings for Liam and make him feel like the king he deserved to be treated as. Or I'm coming for him. I'm warning you, Owen bantered. Owen, I laughed, although I knew Owen was joking. Jasper seemed to be taking him seriously, afraid that I was going to slip out of his fingers once more. He leaned in towards me and planted the most gentle and passionate kiss I have ever had. No one else is stealing you from me, he whispered after the kiss. And that was how I got together with my enigmatic roommate. Summary. Liam was always the shy boy next door type when he gets a new roommate in the heavily tattooed and intimidating Jasper Vance. They did not click right away because of obvious differences. But one night when Liam finally snapped at Jasper's snarky remarks, They unorthodoxly started a friendship. They confided in each other through their individual breakups and even took comfort from each other physically. One night after they kissed, Jasper started distancing himself from Liam, afraid of the feelings and uncertain about entering a relationship with a fellow man. This devastated Liam, who confided in his ex-boyfriend who remained to be his good friend, Owen James. Owen readily listened to Liam's situation but was aghast to find out that Jasper had gotten back together with his supposed ex-girlfriend, Olivia, and mainly because Owen himself had been seeing the same girl. Determined to open Jasper's eyes to Olivia's blatant cheating, Liam exposed her deeds, but Jasper was unbelieving of it until he saw Owen and Olivia kissing firsthand. Owen, Jasper, and Liam confronted Olivia, embarrassing her in front of a large crowd for the cheating scandal. They left her weeping and having no face to show. And finally, Jasper and Liam got together. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.